welcome once again to the Retirement Blueprint Show with Tim Lofton of Accent Planning and Wealth. I am Spike Spangle. Tim Lofton, what's on your mind this week?
It's you versus inflation, or more importantly, you versus inflation. Who's going to win?
Oh boy, I really don't want to place a bet on that. But
well, this is an important game.
If we go
this is an important game, and we need to have a game plan for it, Spike.
Yeah, for recent numbers lately, the kind of inflation we've seen over the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I know this is something that the current administration is trying to fight with things like tariffs and so forth to try to bring more manufacturing here, bring costs to a little bit more equal, but it could take a little bit of time. But the more we need to talk about this is because of a 30-year retirement. Yeah. It's not just today's inflation. Is what could things cost us 10, 15, 20, 25 years, 30 years into retirement?
Well, here's what I know, Spike. I mean, inflation has averaged right around 3% a year. Now, I understand it's been a lot more the last few years, but it was a lot less the years before that. What that means to you as somebody that's approaching retirement or planning for retirement is it's giving you a mandate. 3% cost of living doubles every 20 years. So whatever my income need is today, I have to have a plan in place that 20 years from now, that income's going to double. And that's the challenge.
And it's not just the one-time factor like going to the grocery store. I mean, we've all been talking about it the last 3, 4, 5 years, but everything from possibly replacing a car 10 years from now, a roof repair, a repair of any kind around the home, everything has just become more expensive. Yeah. And the reason we're saying that is we want to be able to factor in growth into your retirement plan, the savings, as Tim always says, giving jobs to the money. And some of this money needs to work long term.
It does, because you're going to retire, but your money doesn't get to.
Boom. Hey, I know somebody smart who said that once. Folks, today we're going to continue to talk about inflation, what you need to be thinking about, because we want you to have a long, sustained, happy retirement. But I'm going to say this throughout today's program. It's an interactive show. When you see it come up, we've got a phone number here. You can call it. You can set up your own appointment. We literally have people standing by right now during the program who can schedule an appointment for you. And I know most of you are scrolling on your phone already. That's okay. You can open it up to the camera function and point it at this QR code, click on it, and you can schedule your own appointment with Tim and the team right there. Are there tools that you like to use that are interest rate based to help you fight things like inflation, or is it more about taking risk in the portfolio to make sure it grows?
I like the second one that you just mentioned, Spike. When we think about how the traditional thought processes with retirement planning, you've probably heard something like you should put your money in a 60-40 portfolio, that's 60% stocks, 40% bonds. And then a fellow named Bill Bengen in '91 came out with this 4% rule, and we can take 4% out of our portfolio, increase it by 3%, and everything's going to be fine. Well, the problem is that was for a 20-year retirement, 15-year retirement, because the longevity today, a married couple, one of you is going to live to be 94 years old. The 20-year retirement has turned into a 30, 35-year retirement. It's a whole new set of problems, a whole new set of issues, and unfortunately, the tools that used to work just won't work going into the future.
If we're living that much longer in retirement, even if it's a couple, if one of you is living that much longer, does that mean we need to double what we think is that retirement savings number? We've discussed many times over the years as we've gotten to know each other, the $1 million number, is that the number we're looking for in retirement? But if retirement is twice as long, do we need twice as much now before we allow ourselves to retire?
Well, the way that I like to look at it is you can just experience less problems. If I have a 20-year retirement, I can get away a little bit more with a bad market or a bad economy or a bad decision. When I get to 30 or 35 years, a small mistake up front can be a game ender towards the end. And so as we talk about, I just said all the things that really don't work anymore. Let's talk about the things that do work. And we call it giving jobs to the money. Quite simply put, we want to remove the market and the economy and who's in the White House and whatever other fear you have out of your income part. The income piece of what you're doing in retirement has to be guaranteed. It has to be fixed. We have to be able to count on it. Just like Social Security and pension, if we need to layer in an additional piece of income, job is going to be that income. Volatility is out of the picture. Once we get that figured out, we have the money left over, that becomes growth. And so how do we combat inflation? How do we combat taxes and rising costs and the hen union going on strike and we can't get eggs? How do we get ahead of that? The growth component is the key. And I know if you're at home right now and you're like, well, Tim, I'm 65 years old, I'm 70 years old. Growth, I can't have growth. I've always been told as I get older, I have to be more conservative. No, as you get older, you have to be more intentional. There's a difference. We have to make sure that we give a job to the money for income, but we have to have something that is going to make that 30-year retirement keep pace with inflation.
I love what you're saying, Tim, and I think that's one of the big takeaways, hopefully, for our viewers out there, listeners on our radio show, WHIO, also on the weekends, is that we want you to get away from some of those things you may have read on the internet before, 60-40 or completely, let's be safe as we get to retirement. Yes, portions of your money safe. Let's lock that in. Let's lock in the income. Mm-hmm. But today you also have to think about retirement being much, much longer than your parents or your grandparents. Mm-hmm. So this is a SEPIT. What do we want to call it? A bucket of money, boat of money out here, something that is floating out on its own that can achieve a higher rate of return. And so you actually kind of enjoy the ups and downs of the market right now because you realize that recovery is what you're going to see later down the road.
Well, what we're trying to do is remove the emotion out of volatility. In other words, we can be 65, 70, 75 years old and looking at the ups and downs and thinking, you know what, it's a little scary, it always is, but it doesn't impact my life, it doesn't impact my retirement, it doesn't impact my income. It's helping me over the long term keep pace with inflation and not lose purchasing power to where I have to start making decisions about not eating out a couple times a week, or maybe I can't afford to go on vacation. We want to remove that. That's not how retirement's supposed to be. Retirement is supposed to be the way that you dreamed it to be. It's a math equation. It's a matter of looking at the metrics, figuring out a plan for you, and making sure that we have that number dialed in so that you don't have to worry, you don't have to wonder. You can comfort your spouse if they get a little freaked out about the headlines, and just remind them, hey, we're okay.
Yeah. What can you do about it? Speaking of the number, is you can call this number right down here. Do that right now. Get on the books right now so we can have a discussion with you. If the concern for you is, are they running out of money? Are you spending more and more? Is it going to last as long as you need it to? Let's take away all of those question marks and worries and do a complete portfolio review with you. It starts by calling that phone number. There's no cost for you to come in and sit down and get started on your own retirement blueprint with Tim Lofton of Axum Planning and Wealth. In fact, call that right now and continue to listen to this message that Tim's put together on inflation. We'll be right back.
The mistake that we see with a lot of people coming into our office is that they made a projection of how much money they were going to need maybe 20 years ago, and they didn't account for inflation in those figures. The average retiree is going to spend at least 20 years in retirement. That means that the cost of living is going to double at least one time. For example, if somebody 20 years ago said, I'm going to need $40,000 for my investments in retirement, that number is only worth $20,000 now. And so they actually needed to make sure they were looking for $80,000 if $40,000 net was their number back then. So as we're looking at the income needed in retirement, we have to have a plan in place that's going to double our income over that same period, or we're going to have to reduce our lifestyle, which is not what we worked all our lives for. Those are the types of things that we try and help clients with as they're planning out their future retirement to make sure that taxes and inflation are covered in those projections. If taxes and inflation are keeping you up at night, give us a call. Sit down, let us do a complimentary review with you and design your very own retirement blueprint. It's our trademark process that we've designed over the last 30 years to help you retire and stay retired. As Americans, we strive for better. From a better house, to a better career, to a better life for our kids. Better has become the American way. But when it comes to your retirement, what does better mean to you? More income, flexible lifestyle, better solutions? A better retirement begins with a better plan. To claim your retirement readiness review, call the number you see here. You only retire once. This is your opportunity to plan for better.
Welcome back to the Retirement Blueprint Show with Tim Lofton of Axum Planning and Wealth right here in Ohio. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. We're talking about how do you protect your retirement savings and spending from inflation. So, Tim, we said we're going to talk about solutions.
Yes.
I don't want to wait until the last part of the show here.
No.
Let's do it right here in the middle.
Oh, wow.
How do we provide a solution for protecting the income stream, making sure that it helps us stay at least pace with inflation in retirement?
You just wanted to hear me say dynamic withdrawal strategy, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's gonna be our new T-shirt.
Yeah, dynamic withdrawal strategy, right on our shirts. Listen, when we're trying to figure out income, we've had a client in a couple weeks ago, and they came in and they were looking at an early retirement. And mainly because they could. Financially, they were in a place, but their concern was, hey, I'm 62, and I don't get Social or Medicare until 65. How are we going to negotiate that? Because that's a lot of money to have to be able to pay for health insurance. And so as we looked at it, this is a common problem that, we're trying to find a bridge or a gap, a way to get from point A to point B. It's not forever. They're going to have to take a little bit higher withdrawal rate for a couple, 3 years. But after that, Medicare kicks on, they have their supplement, and their income need goes down a little bit. This is the idea of dynamic withdrawal strategy. It's a matter of looking at the situations. Maybe it's we had a client that was wanting to go on a vacation, and this was not your normal vacation, Spike. This was a pretty pricey vacation. I'm talking business class tickets and Australia and all of that. And they were literally planning their trip based around how the economy and the markets were doing.
Oh, wow.
And,
yeah.
it was one of those things where they're like, things are really good. We've made some money. We're going to take a little bit off the table, and we're going to do that. And those types of conversations are really what we're here for. It's not about just creating this magical financial plan, the retirement blueprint, and giving it to you, and then that's it, and you got to figure it out. It's about getting you to the starting line with the blueprint so that we can go do life together, so that we can actually navigate the things that come up, a new car, a trip, maybe wanting to help the kids or the grandkids out, whatever the case may be. Having the ability and the flexibility to have somebody to rely on to give the information that you have in your head and say, hey, will this work out? And then to be able to see it on our big screen in our office and say, yeah, we're going to be fine, and this is what it looks like. You see that satisfaction of, oh my gosh, we're going to be okay. And like the spouses look at each other and they're like, yeah, we're going to be all right. We can do this.
Yeah, but sometimes without having that coach, that advisory relationship with somebody, the dynamic withdrawal strategy turns from we're going to fly to Australia on business class to we're going to fly to Australia in 28C and D in the back of the plane with two chairs that don't recline. Yeah. We don't want you choosing in retirement how you're going to spend depending on where pricing and where the markets are.
Right.
We want to be able to lock that in. So do you have protections for folks who are in a retirement plan for when the markets are down like they have been at least from the beginning of this year?
Well, Spike, I would say that you have to. You can't go into retirement with things up in the air. And if you just have 100% of your money invested in some strategy and you're crossing your fingers and riding the wave, that is going to lead to them not flying business class. They don't go on the trip at all. They're terrified. They feel, like they can't do what they want to do. That's not what retirement's about. We're not looking at what you can survive on, what you can get by on, what you can make work. What do you want to have happen? Let us figure out how to get you there. That's the whole idea of the retirement blueprint. That's what we're here for, is to come alongside people, to work with you, to help you retire and stay retired. But that space in between of retirement, we want it to be everything that you want it to be.
On all of the programs that you do, we talk about doing the retirement blueprint. Not only is it a free process, but it's something that is complete with your investment strategy, taxes, estate planning conversation, healthcare choices, timing of Social Security. But you also like to point out that the retirement blueprint isn't just a printout that you get.
Right.
What I'm enjoying about your conversation is it's a lot more process here for you. So we'll set up the blueprint. But then we're here to help you with that all throughout your retirement years.
Here's what I know. Life's going to change. The great theologian Mike Tyson, I'm sure you've
absolutely
heard of.
Very well spoken.
Pastor Mike. He said everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face, right? And so, we know the punching in the face thing is going to happen in life. You've experienced it. I've experienced it. Spike, you've experienced it.
Many times.
The question is not if it's going to happen, it's what are you going to do about it? And do you have a plan in place? That's what we're trying to build into a plan, is all of the little things that can go wrong. The loss of a spouse, the loss of income, some sort of setback financially, a problem with whatever the case may be. We understand and put in a box what we're going to do if that happens. We put it on the shelf. You don't have to worry about it anymore. It's unlikely it's going to happen in the first place, but if it does, all we have to do is get that box out, open it up, and then we've got a plan in place for what we're going to do to get through whatever that issue is.
Today, the word inflation isn't just about how prices have risen from everything from grocery stores to automobiles to your own health care, but inflation is a constant, constantly growing all throughout your retirement years, costing you a lot more in your spending, your purchasing power over time. And if you don't build that into a plan, you're going to work into what we call a constrained retirement, choosing eventually not to do things, our lifestyle, how we eat, what we do. And we don't want to live that constrained lifestyle all the way into our deep retirement years. So let's help you fight the effects of inflation by simply starting out with a plan. It is no cost to you to get started. Dial that phone number right now you see on the bottom of the screen. There are folks standing by. They'll schedule an appointment for you. There's no cost to it. Or if you want to, you can schedule it right now with your smartphone. Open it up to the camera function, point at this QR code and click on it. It'll take you over to their website. You can schedule it right there. More with Tim Lofton of Axum Planning and Wealth right after this.
Hi, Tim Lofton, partner and co-founder of Axum Planning and Wealth. Let's cut to the chase. The markets, the economy, it's a mess. People are scared, feeling lost and unsure about their financial future. But here's the deal. You don't have to be. You're probably worried if your portfolio is really working for you. That's where we come in. At Axum, our team offers a complimentary retirement review to ensure that you are on track, a fresh set of eyes to give you that crucial second opinion. You need a fiduciary, someone who has your best interests at heart, not theirs. That's what we provide, a fiduciary perspective that you can trust. If you're concerned about your portfolio, don't wait. Give us a call, take control, get that second opinion. Let us plan your tomorrow today. Did you ever think that your own retirement would be shared with our government? It's true. Your 401k, IRA, pension, or similar retirement accounts are in partnership with Uncle Sam. Simply put, they want their tax dollars and you have them. With our latest tax calculator, you can plug in your own numbers while sitting at home to see what your tax liability to Uncle Sam will be. You can scan the QR code or go to blueprinttaxbill.com.
Welcome back. You're with Tim Lofton of Axum Planning and Wealth, and we just saw the blueprinttaxbill.com.
Yeah.
And actually, you've said planning for taxes is one way that you can help fight the effects of inflation. Mm-hmm. Why would I want to pay more in taxes right now? It feels like that's money going out the window. That's not helping me beat inflation.
Well, remember the definition of inflation. It is a slow erosion of purchasing power. Taxes are just another form of inflation. They're taking away dollars either currently or in the future that you would normally have to use for your lifestyle or to pass on as a legacy. The whole idea here is we're not trying to optimize taxes this year. We're trying to optimize taxes throughout our entire retirement. And we've been talking on this show, it's 30 years plus. When we have 30 years, we can fix just about anything, Spike. And this is a great opportunity. The biggest needle mover that we see in our office when it comes to planning is typically taxes. And it's the last thing that people are talking about. Nobody likes to pay taxes. It's, it's not a subject that we are like, oh, wow, I want to talk about death and taxes.
I feel like I did my civic duty today because I paid my taxes.
Right.
Nobody likes paying taxes.
Nobody wants to pay taxes. But here's the thing. If you can pay less over time, and I'm talking about significantly less over time, isn't it worth taking a look? It's as easy as sitting down with us. We have the ability to actually do tax calculations and tax strategy via our software to actually be able to look at what is ideal for you. Does it make sense to do a Roth conversion? Does it not? If we do a Roth conversion, when should we do it? And then if we do it, what pace should we do that at? Should we do it all up front? Should we do it over time? And then what impact, and this is the fun part, we get to see if we do that, here's the impact by age 90, 95.
And by impact, you're talking about how many more, hopefully hundreds of thousands of dollars you're able to save, or a million or two or more.
I'll give you an example. We had a client in, and this is, for you folks that work out at the base or for one of the companies that support the base, I love meeting with you. We have so many clients from out there, and it's interesting to me because we're always talking on the show about how pensions have gone away, and if you work out at the base, you're like, I got a pension. I got 4 of them. So anyway, we had a client come in. They had a military pension, disability pension, government pension, Social Security. Wife has a Social Security. She has a pension, and we're sitting here looking at it, and they're like, "Are we going to be okay?" Great problem to have, right?
Yeah.
They had more than they needed in the way of income, but when we looked at what they had done such a great job of saving, they had done it all pre-tax. So now they have a couple $1 million of pre-tax money that is not ever going to be used. I mean, sure, there could be that one thing. I've been doing this for 30 years, Spike. They're not going to use it. And so now we're sitting here looking at this huge tax bomb. Again, great problem to have. But as we walked through the tax strategy, the first thing that came out was we needed to wait till they actually retired because their income was so good now, it didn't make sense for them to take it and start converting. It was going to push them in a higher tax bracket. And through the software, we were able to see as they retired, we made a difference in their retirement by age 95 of almost $11 million.
Oh my God.
$11 million. That's the power of tax strategy and tax planning. And so if you haven't done that, if you're sitting there going, I've got a bunch of money, I work out at the base, I may not be using it, what can I do? Give us a call. Let's take a look.
Right now, so up on the screen here is the blueprinttaxbill.com. So here's what you do, folks. And when Tim is saying pre-tax, we use all these terms inside the industry. They'll even call it a qualified account. Basically, you're kicking that tax can down the road. You've been saving tax deferred, most Americans have, in many ways for 4.5 decades.
Right.
So eventually you're going to have to start paying taxes on those accounts when you start pulling that money out, or if you want to leave it to the heirs if you never use it. So do you want to lose that money, give that to Uncle Sam, or do you want to do something about it now while we're in the 3rd lowest tax brackets in U.S. history?
Yeah.
And the reason why I asked, do you want to do anything about it? Because I'll just ask our viewers this question. Does anybody think that taxes are going to go down or go away anytime in the near future? Or do you think they'll probably go up? sometime in the next 5, 10, 15 years. Let's control the taxes. And one of the ways you can do it is find out how much you're going to pay in taxes right now at blueprinttaxbill.com. A couple of very simple, fast inputs. Then, what do you do with the report, Tim?
Then give us a call, because when they see what that bill is, and we joke about this all the time, when you run the report, make sure you're sitting down, because it can be a lot to take in. You're looking at it and you're being like, is that 1 comma, 2 commas? Like what?
How many zeros?
How many zeros? And you know, it is a lot. That's the bad news. We're not about bad news. We're about solutions. We want to be able to show you a path forward from there. How can we get some more money in a tax-free lane? How can we create a larger legacy down the road by passing on more? How can we pass on more tax-free? All of that, we can basically take that report, sit down with you, the strategies and some of the things that it shows you on the report, we can show you not only how to implement them, but if it makes sense for you, and we can tweak it to your specific situation.
I think that we were going to coin a new phrase here, your taxation inflation.
Taxation inflation.
Taxation inflation down the road.
It is. It's a form of, listen, it's taking away purchasing power. It's inflationary.
Right. Now, we know that the tax rates that are in place right now for this year will last all the way through the end of the year. So for next year's reporting year, they're locked in.
Right.
This is part of what the administration is talking about. Will they continue to extend these tax cuts to where they're at? If not, at least we know there's some time to do things right now. Hopefully they will extend them for another 2 or 3 or 4 years. Stay tuned, keep watching, keep listening to the radio program, or give us a call. We like to deal with the facts that are in place, but right now we know we're in a pretty efficient tax window.
And that question comes up, you know, we put together a tax strategy, and people will say, well, what are we going to do if they change tax rates? We'll adjust.
Yeah.
That's the whole value of having a plan. We have something to pivot from.
Right. And so once you do that blueprint tax bill, say you've got $1 million in tax deferred accounts, what Tim is saying is, number one, please be seated when you're looking at that report, because you're going to have to see how much you pay in taxes. But then we could also do it in a portion. You could do a little bit this year. You could do 1/10 of it. You can do 20% of it. It's up to you.
It's actually easier than that, Spike, because once we do the tax strategy, it'll actually show us the detail of exactly how much you're supposed to convert and when each year.
Tim Lofton of Accent Planning and Wealth, thank you very much. And for our viewers, thank you so much for sticking around for the program. We started with inflation. We ended with taxation. We want to make sure that you get to keep more of your hard-earned savings in retirement. And it starts with a plan. Get your own free retirement blueprint started right now. Call that phone number down on the bottom of the screen. Folks are standing by. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week.